welcome back to Praxis. If you didn't catch last week's, go back and have a look because we started a mini series on fasting, on the practice of fasting. And as I said last week, I think fasting is probably one of the most misunderstood and kind of disdained practices from the life of Jesus. Because, you know, we look at it and we just think, not eating, that sounds unpleasant. What's the point in that? No, thank you. But actually, it seems to be this practice that Jesus, kind of expects us, to be engaging in. And I don't think he's expecting us to be engaging in it because he's set some rules and wants us to jump over some hurdles so that he feels pleased with us. Whenever Jesus is teaching us something, it's because it's for our good. And so I think there's something in this practice that actually is going to draw us deeper into Jesus and deeper into the people we're made to be, so that we might live in this world more as we're created and less as we, kind of perhaps currently find ourselves. I want to read a couple of verses of scripture today and just share a quick reflection on them and for some things that I think will help us as we sort of think about this practice and as we engage in this practice this week. And as I said before, remember, fasting doesn't need to be like a week of fasting, a whole 24 hours of fasting. Start small. You might just practice the Jewish fast. It's what I'm doing. It's what I'm doing today, actually, of not having breakfast, not having lunch, but you break it with an evening meal later on. Okay, a couple of verses of scripture. This is Ezra chapter 8, verse 21. It says, "There by the Ahava canal, I proclaimed a fast." Why? He says, "So that we might humble ourselves before our God and ask him for a safe journey for us and our children with all our possessions." Another one from the book of the prophet Joel. Joel chapter 2, verse 12, 13. Says, "Even now declares the Lord, return to me with all your heart." How are they going to return to him with all their heart? It says, "with fasting and weeping and mourning. Rend your heart and not your garments. Return to the Lord your God, for he is gracious and compassionate, slow to anger, abounding in love, and he relents from sending calamity." We've got these two things that we see here in these scriptures of fasting being something that somehow is linked with humility. And we've got fasting being something that's linked with kind of us, returning to God, coming to see, who he is and where we've walked apart from him. I think the two are linked. What is humility? I would say that humility is seeing life as it is. And life as it is life as God sees it. Why might this practice of fasting help us with this? I think there's something about not eating that exposes what's truly within us. In other words, it humbles us, helps to see what truly is, exposes our kind of need and helps us to therefore see where we need to maybe return to the Lord. What am I saying? I think there's something about when we don't eat and we experience hunger, that physical hunger, God speaks to us in and through that physical hunger to reveal to us our true spiritual hunger. I think there's so many things in life that we can do to drown out our need for Jesus, to kind of enables us to ignore it and forget it. And there's something about the practice of fasting that exposes those things and allows God to bring them to the surface. It's as if when we fast, we see physically in the physical hunger we're experiencing, the true reality of the spiritual hunger that we always have, but we so often don't see. And so this week when you're fasting, what I'd really encourage you is, as you feel and experience physical hunger, ask and allow Jesus to show you in and through that your true spiritual hunger. because you might be feeling a bit hungry. I'm feeling a little bit hungry right now. You know what? Spiritually, I'm even hungrier than I feel. I just don't often realize it. And I know that God is going to use this feeling of physical hunger to show me my spiritual hunger, which is then going to draw me deeper into Him. So as you fast this week, look out for that. Allow God to speak to you through that, to reveal to you your true spiritual hunger through the experience of your physical hunger. And one thing I don't think I said last week, but what I found of this practice of fasting is often you can fast for one day and it's like, you know, sometimes that's really deeply profound and God teaches you lots through it and you're drawn into this place of, oh, I'm so spiritually hungry, I didn't realise, God, I need more of you. And there's other times where I do it and I'm like, oh, I'm just a bit hungry today, and you know, and it's not all that. What I've come to see, and I think this is true for lots of spiritual practices, doing it once has some value. Doing it regularly, you know, weekly, monthly, whatever that is, has a bit more value, because I think often it's not just doing something once, a bit like, you know, going to the gym and lifting a weight once. Well, you'll see some benefit from that, but the true benefit is found actually through doing it again and again and again and again and again. And you might not be able to notice the difference or the benefit that one time gives you, but you will be able to notice the benefit over many months or even many years. And I think that's often the true measure of effectiveness in the spiritual life. So if you tried it this week or last week and you were like, bit so-so, I encourage you to just keep going and maybe look back over a couple of months and see what God's done in and through you through that, because you'll probably notice a lot more than just doing it for 1 week. But give it a go this week again and just see what Jesus might teach you through it and draw you into through it.